What's up everybody, my name's Danon and welcome to Ahnestly. Now first things first, thank you so much to all of you who've subscribed. This channel has blown up like crazy. I mean, beyond my expectations in like 2 weeks worth of time. It's insane. So really thankful for all of you. Now some of you might be wondering why in the world has it been so long since your last release, and the reason why is because we just moved to Pennsylvania to be closer to my wife's family, and because of that the basement space slash what's supposed to be dedicated for my office is still not finished, and so it's gonna be about a month before I can start recording regularly. It's just really hard to do so when you've got young kids who are sensitive to noise and the only time you have to record is at night. Obviously, I'm in a staircase right now. This is kind of the only place to do it, and you can hear probably the AC going off. So not an ideal situation, but I appreciate your guys' support and your patience. I'm really excited about today's video because we are reviewing Bose's top-of-the-line, newest noise-canceling headphone, the Bose NC700s, but we're doing it a little differently than the other tech reviewers out there in that everybody has an opinion about Bose. You either love it or you absolutely hate it, and so it introduces some brand bias if you were to look at it and review it yourself. So instead, I decided to bring in 4 of my friends and completely blindfold them, put oven mitts on their hands so they can't even feel which one is which, and I wanted to do a comparison of the Bose headphones with arguably one of the best noise canceling headphones right now in the business, the Sony WH-1000XM3s. So let me go ahead and introduce you to our judges. Up first is the casual listener. This buddy of mine enjoys listening to music frequently and has tried high-end headphones, but probably wouldn't break the bank for a nice pair of headphones. Next up is the musician. Now this buddy of mine has a silky smooth voice, and even though he's not an audiophile, he does have strong preference for what he wants his music to be like, and in his case, he likes his mids to be nice and warm. Next up is the cheapskate. Now this buddy of mine thinks that all headphones sound exactly the same, and he's perfectly content with his $15 Philips earbuds that he bought like 4 years ago, and his only regret is that he had to pay $15 for them. Now you may think I'm making this up, but that's a direct quote. Next up is the hypebeast. Now this buddy of mine loves things that are shiny and new, and he loves it so much that he'd be willing to pay for shiny and new over something like sound quality. We ran 4 different tests, and for every single test, number 1 is always the Sony's, and number 2 is always the Bose, but we didn't always present it to the judges in that order, so you'll hear them say things like the first one or the second one, and that can get a little confusing, so we'll annotate to make things as clear as possible for you guys, the viewers. If you guys like this video, I would absolutely love it and appreciate it so much if you liked and subscribed, and leave some thoughts about what you think about this test. I would love to improve on it and do it hopefully again in the future if my friends are willing. The first test is a sound quality test where they'll be comparing which one sounds better for podcasts, classical music, hip-hop music, and then pop/soul/R&B. And if you want to know the titles of each of these songs, I'll go ahead and put it right here. Which one did you like better for podcasts, 1 or 2?
I liked 1 better. It sounded more balanced, less harsh overall.
So the first one was more warmer in tone, as in like I heard like more mids kind of come through, but then the second one had more high, so it's more like punctuated. I think if there's like a lot of noise around me, I think I'll prefer the second one, but just for pure like just listening wise, first one was better.
It sounded the same.
Okay.
Number 1.
Why do you like number 1?
So she was whispering to my ears. She has a very pleasant voice.
No, but like, why did you like number 1 better?
Like I can hear her like take a breath in. It was clear. Like it felt like you know when you're listening to something, like the soundstage. It felt like it was like right here. Like right. It was like more balanced. Like,
Okay.
It felt like it was like more natural.
Okay.
Like listening to dialogue.
For classical, I again liked 1 better. The instruments sounded clearer. They're more. There was better separation, meaning that they're more distinguishable. Whereas 2, the instruments were harder to tell apart.
First one is better.
First one's better?
And I'll say noticeably better.
Oh yeah? Why is
Yeah.
that?
It comes back to that like the richness of it, like the mids and like they're kind of more pushed out, and I felt like the second one was more like tinny in comparison.
2.
Number 2. Okay.
I'm holding a 2. It felt better. Yeah. Oh, you know what? The second one, number 1, it felt like a hollowness around my ear. This doesn't feel right.
Okay.
Not really a fan of classical music. The first one?
So number 2?
Yeah, so Headphone 2.
Okay.
It got me moving. We got mail. The beginning, it sounded clear.
Okay.
I can hear the composition, the notes. I can picture them. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one do you like better for hip hop?
For hip hop, I would say 1. Personally, I like a good bass, and I think number 1 had better bass to it, and number 2 sounded pretty trebly. Sounded pretty, like the highs were a little sharp.
This one's hard because second one I heard more like hissing noise almost like in the background. Like you can tell like. But then the first one, like it was that warmer tone actually didn't fit well for that hip hop feel. So I didn't like either of them. But if I had to pick one, it's the first one.
Okay.
Number uno,
Number uno? So you like number 1 better?
the second one.
Okay. Why did
Yeah.
you like that one better?
I felt the what is it? The booming. You know, like the bass. Yeah. Like it makes me booming.
Number 1 was better.
Okay,
So
so
Headphone number
Headphone 1.
1. Yeah, the second one I tried.
Okay.
The lyrics, the voices, and when I guess it's grainy. In the other one. So the
Number
one
2?
that the first one that I tried, it was more like muffled.
Uh-huh.
So it sounded like it didn't sound clear. The bass was just a little, that's what other tech reviews say, right? It wasn't as punchy. Yeah, it wasn't as punchy.
For number 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second one I tried was better.
Okay.
Clarity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So number 1 was more clear. Number 2, bass was a little bit, you said,
It was like muddled.
muddled. Okay.
Yeah.
So which one did you like better for pop, 1 or 2?
I liked 1. 1, I feel like was much better balanced in terms of low, mids, and highs. And again, I personally enjoy bass, and I think it had better and like tighter and stronger bass. And 2, I feel like the mid or the vocals were very overpowering.
Number 1. I think it just goes back to that same reason. Warmer mids. The highs not as pronounced, but I think I prefer the warmer tone.
2.
Number 2?
Like it felt more fuller. Like the sound didn't feel like it's escaping.
Headphone number 1. Oh, in the beginning, there's like this hissing sound.
Okay.
I don't know if that's like I only hear the number 1.
Okay.
Like there's a hissing sound, but then once the music comes on, there's more like it just feels like fuller.
Okay.
Like clear, yeah.
The next test is to determine which one is better for noise canceling, and for this, the judges, without any headphones on, were presented with 2 different soundtracks. The first one was of my kids crying, like literally, I recorded them as they were crying as we were moving up from Virginia to Pennsylvania.
The one in the background sounds like a goat.
That's my daughter. And the second track is something I found on YouTube for office noises.
That sounds pretty real.
That was like an office sound?
And then we put their headphones on, played some music, and asked them which one was better for noise canceling. 1 or 2 had better noise canceling.
Both.
Both had.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything. Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
I think both of them have really good sound ISO. I still think the first one is better. So I was trying to pick out like the baby crying noise or the office noise after the music was playing, and with the first one, like even though I tried to pick it out, I couldn't hear for it. But then with the second one, if I really try to pay attention to those like outside noises, I could actually like pick up some parts of it. So I feel like because of that, the first one's a little better.
They both did the same.
Were they good? Were they bad?
I didn't hear a word. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, you didn't hear anything?
No.
Okay.
I think number 1.
Number 1
So
was better?
so yeah, the first one felt like I can hear, like without it on, I can hear outside noises. But once it comes on, it really feels like it's sort of like actually canceling the noise.
Okay.
Actively canceling the noise.
Uh-huh.
Headphone 2 felt like so if there's like the noise, it was just like masking it with more music. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Do you know what you're saying?
Yeah, sure.
In the next test, we asked them which headphone feels more comfortable on you, including which one do you feel like breathes easier so that your ears aren't sweating as much.
Dude, it's moving. This is cheap, isn't it?
Overall, I think the first one was better for my head. It feels softer. There's less pressure against like my head, either side of my head. I guess the pads feel softer. Stays on a little better. But I mean, everyone has different, head shapes and ear sizes and all that. But
So for our viewers, real quick,
Yeah.
how would you describe the size of your head?
I have a fairly large head. My ears actually, like, there's a lot of cartilage, so they're pretty rigid.
I think second one is a little more comfortable. I think it's slightly lighter, so it just feels better because there's less weight on my head. I mean, in terms of like around the ear, they're both pretty comparable, I thought.
And then just for our viewers' sake, how would you describe your head size?
I mean, I don't think I have a giant head, but I don't think I have a small head.
Okay, alright, so somewhere between a medium head?
Yeah, I'm normal head.
Number 2, which is the first one, I think it fit better
Okay.
overall. Comparing the two, second one it didn't fit my head that well.
Okay, so number
So-
1 didn't fit your head that well.
Yeah, number 1,
Okay.
the second one. The
Alright,
first
so
one I
for
think
our
fit
viewers,
more like snugly.
Number 1.
Number 1?
I think I have a pretty decent shaped head, average. So I feel like number 1 fit my. Yeah, number 1 felt good. I don't know if it's the temperature of the pads, the ear pads, but the number 1, headphone number 1 was more like cooler. It felt like it was like I didn't feel like stuffy. My ears didn't feel stuffy.
Okay. In the final test, the judges were able to take their blindfolds and gloves off, and they were asked how easy is it to use each of these headphones. And the reason why I asked that is because the Sony's use gestures, whereas the Bose has physical buttons, and I wanted to know which one each judge preferred. Unfortunately, we did run out of time, and I was only able to ask them which one is more intuitive to set up, get paired, and start listening to. And the results might actually surprise you.
The Sony's was definitely more intuitive. I was able to connect to it much more quickly, whereas the Bose, it talks everything out. So it's trying to say connecting to this, connecting to that. So it goes down the entire list before it's unable to find anything, and then allows you to pair. So it's a bit more time consuming if you're connecting it to multiple devices.
So I think the Bose has a little bit of easeability just because on it there's like a Bluetooth button that helps you figure out at least like, oh, like you should click into this to connect to it. Whereas the Sony's, it doesn't necessarily have it. It has a power button on it, but you don't know to really click into it to connect to it.
After having used the Sony's...
Wait. Give me a second. I don't want you guys to steal my information for using the devices, okay? This one, the Bose.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it has a button, so with the Bluetooth symbol on it.
I struggled with both of them.
So you had an issue with the Boses though. Can you explain that problem? What happened?
It wouldn't play. It wouldn't show up on my. So I have an iPhone. There's a list that shows you all the speakers and stuff that you're connected to, and it wouldn't show up.
But for some reason.
But Siri worked.
Yeah.
There's a button for Siri here.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty nice. But it worked as soon as I just got connected, and it showed up immediately once I figured it out. Once I figured it out all by myself.
I told you that.
All by myself, I figured it out. It showed up immediately, turned it on, and it worked right away. And then out of nowhere, when I picked these up just to play with them while I was listening to this, it switched over to this. So, magic.
Here's what the final results look like. Would you pick 1, which were the Sony's, or 2, the Bose headphones?
I would say 1, the Sony's were definitely better of the two, at least in my preference.
I would probably purchase the Sony's.
Okay.
These.
I think the Bose,
The Bose?
because it just felt like, again, snugglier.
The Bose cost $400,
Ha!
right? And the
Yeah.
Sony's cost
Yeah.
$230 to $290.
Yeah.
At that price point, which one would you buy?
So I have this Philips $15 earbuds. They work just as fine. Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay. If they were both free, which one would you pick up?
Oh, if it's free, dude, I'll take the Bose, and then I'll sell it. Wait, how much is this?
$400.
How much is that?
$230 to $280.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, that's for sure. No.
Which one would you
Aesthetically, these look nice,
Uh-huh.
but they feel flimsy. Like so this little thing here. These feel nice. It's probably because they're new. I like new things.
Uh-huh.
But this feels like it can I would feel like I'll be delicate with these. This feels like this can take like a beating. I can like just mess around with it, like use it normally. I feel like these will be more comfortable to use. They sounded better too. So yeah, I like these. These are
If you were to get them for free, which one would you pick?
Ooh. So if I'm getting them for free, these are the newer ones, right? You said these are a year old?
Yeah.
I'll take the newer ones.
In the end, 3 out of 4 judges picked the Sonys as their overall choice, whereas only 1 judge picked the Bose as their overall choice. So it seems like the Sonys are the clear winner here. But something to keep in mind is that when it came to fit, the judges were split on whether they liked the Boses or the Sonys better, and the same is the case for classical music. The judges seem split right down the middle between who liked the Boses better for classical versus who liked the Sonys for classical. So if fit and classical music are really important to you, the Boses might be worth checking out, but for everybody else out there, for the price point that the Sonys come now that they're about a year old, the Sonys do seem to trump the Bose NC700s. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like and subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you think about the test results. Until next time, stay honest.